All right, Stephen Jacobic with Strong Dogs got a follow-up question to yesterday's question. Today's is, when is it actually a good time to start introducing corrections into your training? Great question. I'm going to go ahead and kind of preface this with being a little bit more specific. If it's a puppy, wait over a year. If it's a brand new dog, even though if it's not a puppy, wait a year. Wait longer than you think, okay? Because even if it's a new dog, whether if it's a puppy, rescue, middle age, old age, adolescent, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, 0 to 1 year. Wait a year at least before you start making corrections. I'm going to get into the corrections portion here in a second, but the reason saying wait, it's because once you develop a good bond with your dog, want you to have that bond with the dog so the dog understands the structure that you want that dog to have, okay? And in order for it to do that, the last thing I want you to do is start deteriorating that relationship too early by making corrections. Now, there are one-off scenarios where if the dog is being aggressive or attacking, anything like that, very like episodic and very isolated niche situations, yes, go ahead and correct a dog, meaning if you've got a pinch collar or just a regular collar and you got to pop on the neck in order for them to stop, or pop them in order to get them to move away or to stop what they're doing to get them out of that drive, go ahead, because obviously you want to keep your dog safe, and God forbid, if it's someone else or another dog, you want to keep them safe. So if that's the case, yes, by all means, do what you have to do. But the reason why I'm saying hold off on corrections in general for a little bit longer, I actually changed my viewpoint on corrections during training. I used to subscribe to doing corrections in training, whether that is pop on the collar or even a verbal. I stopped because I wanted it to be a little bit softer. I didn't want training to be bad. I really didn't even need strong corrections in the first place. And that's where I've also have said the correction must fit the crime. Okay, so now rather than doing harsh corrections, I'm actually doing more of a reminder. Okay, I'll go ahead and call them a reminder. Kind of like, I'll put a comedic spin on this. It's kind of like if you and your lady are out and about and she sees another attractive guy, not that she's doing anything wrong, but she's looking, maybe not even saying anything, but her attention isn't totally on you. That reminder is kind of that nudge, that little elbow, and just saying, hey, I'm over here, right? May not happen to you, but it happens to me all the time, where you just have to give that reminder. That is where I'm kind of falling now on the term correction during training. It's just a slight, gentle reminder that let's focus on what we are doing rather than doing the harsh corrections, whether if it's popping on the collar or not even the e-collar, because I use the e-collar today with Ava, and very gentle, very mild, and just keeping her drive up, keeping her excited, keeping the training very fluid. So it wasn't very necessary to get hard corrections. And that's the last thing you want, is just to pop them so hard during training that they no longer want to train. That is why I'm just saying I would rather use the term reminder during training. Now, again, the punishment must fit the crime. So if training is over and you're walking around and they act stupid and you have to give a strong correction, do it, okay? But I avoid saying even no's during training unless... I avoid saying no during training because I want the no's to have value when we are not training, meaning if I say something inside the house or just throughout normal acts of life, this way the word no has more value rather than they just hearing it over and over and it becomes nothing. Okay, so there must be a follow-up. There must be a consequence to that. There must be a consequence to, just like disciplining a kid. If I say something, there is going to be a follow-up action, and that is where I want them to have value outside of training. I want training to be fun. Training is where they are learning something that they don't know or improving. Yes, sometimes they fuck up. It happens, but it's training. Okay, so we're talking about the actual episode of training, meaning you really can't get mad at them. Mistakes are gonna happen, okay? I can go out and practice out on the driving range. You really think I'm gonna hit every golf shot perfectly? No, there are going to be mistakes, but that is where you get all the mistakes out, is during training. So when it actually is now real life, they're going to minimize those mistakes. And then if there are mistakes in real life, then you can go ahead and correct and say, hey, remember what we always were, what I taught you or what we were training on, in order to now facilitate a different behavior. Okay, so that is why I'm separating corrections during training. They're just more gentle reminders, just a little nudge to, hey, let's get back on track, let's get our head in the game, and saving the real corrections for later in life, okay, for other things that you are doing. And again, the correction must fit the crime, first of all, because you don't want to beat up the dog, you don't want to abuse the dog, that's not fair. And the correction must be something that they have learned and understand. And that is why I'm saying wait a year, 8, 10, 12 months a year, whatever it is, to where they have that behavior ingrained in them. So this way they know better. If they don't know, they can't get corrected on something they don't know. And training is where they learn what they know and how to do it. Okay, so you see how they are totally separate and different. If they don't know, you really can't punish them. You can't correct something if they don't know. That is why they do it in training. So let it be gentle reminders, no mistakes in life, then they know. And where that year comes from is sometimes that's how long it can take to really ingrain those behaviors and what you want to really start coming to fruition. Okay, so again, you have an end goal, that end picture of where they want to be. It could take multiple months in order to get there. So that's why I'm just saying hold off as long as you can, unless it's deemed absolutely necessary, where the dog is getting too wild up, causing too much aggression, something like that, behavior that really needs to be corrected and fast. Then you can go ahead and start popping them on a collar and getting them off. But again, even those corrections should be 1 or 2 offs, like one-offs. And this way you can get them and move them and get them back into a less stimulated drive, less stimulated mindset, to get them back under the control, and then reintroduce whatever it was that you're working on. Okay, so just wait as long as you can until it's absolutely necessary, and only then when you really have to do it. So again, this way the correction actually has meaning and value. The last thing you don't want is just to beat up the dog, and then that's a fear tactic, and then you're not doing the dog any favors or yourself any favors, okay? So hopefully that was a little bit more specific. But again, if you have any other questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, or go ahead and email them to me over at strongdogsusa@gmail.com, or slide into my DMs on Instagram, because they are absolutely empty, and that's at StevieJ_. So good luck, keep training your dog, have fun, done.